Hey everyone, so for today's video, we did recently, or kind of recently-ish, now like 3 days ago, did get information on the JP side of the game as to what the next crossover is gonna be. And as you guys can see here, it's obviously going to be Kill la Kill. It's gonna be a rerun for, to be honest, I don't know how many times this is, but it's actually gonna be fairly short, all things considered. It's going to be on the 31st, which is tomorrow, I believe, and then run till the 15th. So roughly a little over 2 weeks. It's really unexpected, to be honest, considering I swear I feel like we just got this. Although this is going to be great considering for those of you guys who don't have Hauka, yeah, when he comes back to Global or anyone playing JP right now, you're going to want to do your best to try to get him. Trust me. But let me just kind of go through some of this real quick. There's going to be some tickets. Cool stuff, cool stuff. That's kind of whatever. And then there are buffs. These buffs I do want to go through with you guys because some of these are actually really cool. I won't go super crazy, but you get the idea. Okay, so let's start. For starters, this is probably my most favorite thing they've done in recent history in terms of buffing units. The fact that Ryuko's 3rd slot is now a 5-star slot is amazing. Usually they reserve triple 5-star slots for like really strong units or just like story characters. But in terms of older characters or even crossover characters, I think that's probably one of the best things that they can do for them, considering now you can basically make them as strong as you're able to based on your equips. Because before, this was a 4-star physical, and you know, everyone's either running Grief or that one equip that buffs your physical damage, the Mind's equip. But now with this, you can literally run like Scissor Blade, you can even run her True Weapon, and then potentially run the 6-star Fire Summoner's Road equip on her. You know, there's a lot of different options, and I really like that. Moving on though to her arts, it basically just got a 10-second duration buff. Nothing really crazy, a slight modifier buff, but that'll be nice to just make you not have to cycle as often. And then her true arts got yet again another 30,000 damage, modifier buff, which is pretty noticeable. 50% more damage, 50% more damage in break, and more break power as well. It's just going to do more damage, which, I mean, as a DPS, you really can't go wrong. I can't really attest as to how good she's going to be, considering she's still kind of but, like, I don't really kind of mind that much, to be honest. She also got 2 arts more a second when near death, so I guess that's pretty good. You could probably run, instead of Grief to give her arts and attack up, you could probably just run the Despair 5-star Mind's equip on her, because that's going to eat up a lot of her life. And with her passive that heals her, you're probably going to be able to make use of that, especially if you have, a good enough tank. But anyways, moving on to Satsuki. She got, of course, a 3rd equip slot to a 5-star Magic, which is really good as well. To be honest, the 4-star Magic is what most people end up using anyways, whether that be a Blessed Necklace for a revive, a Keratos for a cleanse, or more specific things that might have, status element resist or whatever. But of course, the 5-star heal is going to offer you more options in terms of stronger healing, but it's definitely one of the more underwhelming kind of triple 5-star slots. Anyways, her break resist got slightly buffed. I guess that's nice. 1,000 more break. That's doable. Akoya Stream, 1 arts a second. Okay. Break power against earth enemies is interesting considering she's water, but I guess that's kind of what they want. Whatever. Kind of mediocre, as this reaction said. Yeah, kind of slept on. Who put 28 fire? What? Chat, are we blind? This is not fire. People just say things, bro, just to say them, bro, just to throw it out into the void. Okay, let's move on to Mako. Yeah, because Mako, in my opinion, probably the best 5-star unit. I mean, I don't even think that's an opinion. I just think overall she's the best 5-star unit. She's the one who needed a buff, right? As if she wasn't OP before. Anyways, let's kind of get into what she got buffed. Obviously, oh damn. She got a third 5-star equip. You know what I mean? Like, that's really what she needed, right? So obviously now people aren't going to run Grief on her. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, Grief is still really good though. You know, she doesn't take damage because of her iframes. So the, health drain isn't going to matter on her. She gets 2 arts a second and attack. Attack doesn't matter, obviously, for her. But to be honest, in terms of modern art gen, especially if you're running her alongside 6 stars, Grief's art gen is almost useless. I'm not going to lie. Like, you can swap that out for so many better options. It just so happened to be that since it was a 4-star for the longest time, that's really the only thing you want to run anyways. But now that we have a 5-star physical, oh boy. Actually, I want to let me go to this equips. I had a couple of them in mind. This, I think, could be really good on her. You run Chloe's True Weapon. It reduces enemies' light resistance by a stackable 15%, and it gives her gives her 10 arts. I mean, I know it's basically giving arts kind of like Grief, but that isn't really the idea of what you want. You want this 15% stackable light resist down. You can easily get 2 stacks of these, which is going to be an infinite 30% light resist debuff just for having it. Of course, you could run so many other physical equips, but I think that's probably going to be one of the best, especially if you're running her on a mono light team, which more often than not, you'll probably see her being ran, especially as a healer. Her heals are kind of mediocre in terms of modern healing, but regardless, still really okay, especially with everything else she provides. But moving on, slightly more arts on skill. I'm not going to complain about that. A 5-second longer debuff. I do wish they made this like 50%, but I'm really not going to complain about this. Or at least stackable. But considering, kind of Mono Light has debuffers, especially with 6-star Emperor, you don't really ever use this, you know what I mean? You probably just want to spam her True Arts, which, for whatever reason, got a buff, another buff, to 5 arts a second rather than 4, and a 150% arts damage buff instead of 130. Like, why did they think that was okay? Like, now instead of giving 60 arts, which honestly was kind of, I mean, it's been mediocre for a while now, but it was kind of hurting the team because you're kind of just trading out arts gen or as much as you could have for pure damage. But now that 1 extra a second is going to bring it from 60 to, 75? And then 150% arts damage. I believe that should stack with everything as well. Because, well, the arts gauge is EX2, but I believe her arts damage buff stacks. I want to say, don't quote me. But that's just really good. I do wish they buffed the heals, but let's not try to make her too OP, okay? And then on top of it, she also has her Dream Awakening that will give humans 2 arts a second as well as equip CT. So in general, she's even more usable now. I actually think in terms of 6 stars, she's actually better than, well, I mean, it's not really a high bar, to be honest, especially since there are a good bit of bad 6 stars. But she's definitely now up there. I mean, she's very usable. She's been usable, of course, but like with that new 5-star physical that you can just run so many more combinations of equips, I think we could be seeing her a lot more often. But anyways, let me move on though to Newi. Slight arts modifier buff. Enemies take 10,000 elemental. Whoa. Wait, when this unit takes... I didn't even know this was a thing. Has this always been a thing? Every time the art is used... Okay, I know about that. But when this unit takes damage, enemies take 10,000 elementalist damage. That's cool, I guess. I mean, sure. Whatever. 6,000 more. Okay. I mean, it's kind of whatever, really. It's a slight damage modifier buff. This is alright. That's kind of whatever. Yeah, still kind of fairly mediocre. Although, in terms of a luck unit, she's really good, considering... I don't remember what her dream... I literally have it right here. Okay. In terms of nuking, she's very good. I mean, that 5-star support, all of that. If you're going to be doing luck nukes, she's going to be really good. But that's about it. Okay, actually, that's a lie. She definitely has uses, especially with that AoE defense ignore. And that arts gauge is really cool as well. Anyways, moving on to the actual 6 stars, though. Uzu. Like I've told you guys before, I really like Uzu and all his damage potential. Like, I'm low-key, like, he's low-key my goat. You know what I mean? But anyways, 5-second increase to his arts. Okay. 20% more damage and skill CT. That's kind of... It's alright. I mean, faster skill CT will allow him to get more arts gauge from his skill, like, slightly faster. And the extra damage is nice as well. That 5 seconds longer duration could also mean you could potentially fit an extra super art in there before cycling his art again. Because generally what you want to do is use his art, then cycle his true art, pop another art, and then start popping his super art. It's generally roughly 2 or 3 super arts you can get before you have to cycle this again. Unless you don't want that damage, but to be honest, giving up 150% damage is kind of crazy. And then his super arts got a 220,000 damage buff would be crazy. 30,000 damage buff. It's alright. I mean, a little more damage is really good. I mean, that's pretty sizable, especially with how much he's doing in terms of super crit, 150% physical resist down, all this stuff. 150% damage up. Probably the most sizable buff to him, though, so far is this arts gauge buff near death. It's now 5 a second instead of 2, which is very noticeable. When I was doing kind of damage challenges with him to get as much as possible, I would, of course, would run Grief, right? Because that would give him arts, it would give him attack, and it would also bring him near death to get that extra arts. But, I mean, to be honest, in terms of a 6-star, to risk your units being near death, 2 arts just doesn't feel like it's worth the risk, especially in modern content that can just wipe you really quickly. So I think that trade-off of 5 is really nice, especially now that if you use him with Grief, that's 7 a second near death rather than 4, which is crazy. And in between his skill, that's going to be giving him potentially 60 arts. Yeah, he's going to be getting rotated really fast. Let me actually show you the defense equip I ran on him. Was it Junkatsu? Yeah, the Eevee. Why is it like that? I don't know. I actually ran this equip, and you might be asking, why run this equip? It doesn't even do anything. But this one right here. Arts gauge up 2 a second near death. That's the passive I have on it. And then it also has the additional passive of 20% damage near death. So now, when he's near death, after the buff, he's getting 20% damage. He's getting 2 arts a second right here. 5 arts a second, so that's 7. And then 2 arts a second from Grief. So that's 9 arts a second. That's insane. That's without anybody else either. So, yeah. I mean, just generally, his buffs were just to make him slightly easier to kind of rotate, to kind of get his super arts out of the way, back into his arts, and then back into his super arts with a little more damage. Nothing too crazy, but yeah. Hauka, let's be honest, did we really think he was going to get like an actual buff? All he got was a barely noticeable damage modifier buff. I mean, 2,000 and 3,000. Did we think anything was really going to happen there? No. Would it have been funny? Yes. But yeah. What do I think they could have did to actually buff him, though? To be honest, I don't know. Like, if they wanted to make him better, obviously they could maybe increase the water resist to like 100%. I mean, just to make it an even, 100, 150, because 80% feels so random, but I'm really not going to complain. He's obviously still broken and still the best unit on the banner, by far. But, I mean, funnily enough, with how good he is, there's so little to talk about, so whatever, I guess we'll move on. Next, we have No Known. And, she has quite a bit changed about her, as you can see. Clearly, they could tell nobody actually liked her if they're giving her these many buffs. I mean, look at the difference between all her buffs and then all his buffs. Like, let's be... sorry, I can't read apparently. All his buffs. Yeah, but anyways. Let's see... 50% up to 200. Okay, a 10% light allies damage buff. It's okay. It's alright. 40% more damage than before. Doesn't hurt. 5 seconds longer. 30% extra attack. Okay. That's not bad. I don't remember what her passives were. I'd assume, considering she gives 130% attack, she probably has a passive that increases her damage based on her attack. So that's probably going to be good, obviously. And then a slight damage modifier buff to her super art, as well as 20% more magic resist debuff. And that's about it. To be honest, I don't know why. It feels kind of underwhelming. I don't know. I mean, it's a buff. It's a sizable buff. I mean, I'm not saying she's bad. Don't get me wrong. She has her uses. But they could have did something here, I feel like. Maybe give her 200,000. Maybe lessen the amount of times you have to use this. Because, I mean, it's only 100 arts. But you still have to pop that 4 times. Although, to be honest, with each wave, she gives 50 arts to herself as well as light humans. So it's not necessarily impossible. But just like, I don't know. Increase own damage against non-boss enemies. Like, that's so random. Like, why doesn't she just give herself 200% damage? Like, I promise the game isn't going to break if she can do 200% damage. And it's only during the duration of the true arts. So it's not even like you get to keep it. What? Then she gets 130% attack, which is going to just buff her total damage from her passive. Then she pops this. Insane magic resist debuff and a break resist buff, I guess, if you're going to be breaking, which obviously is a thing. It's alright. It's whatever. Let's move on, though, to Era. 20,000 more damage on super arts. 10-second increase to his flinch resist. His damage is kind of whatever. Really don't see anybody using him for his damage. Don't get me wrong. He's the best taunt tank DPS, but like, we don't really need that. 50% more damage. Okay, really good. He heals by 100%. Oh, and he gets 5% more damage resist near death. I mean, he's kind of already unkillable as is, especially if you put Truth of Eternity. Once he's near death, that's what, 20, 45, and then his true arts, I believe, gives him 30% physical resist, or wait, hold up. 30%, yeah. So yeah, he's kind of already, you know what I mean, having insane levels of damage resist, not even including his equips. But yeah, slightly more usable. He's going to do more damage, I guess, which is what they wanted to focus on, buffing rather than damage resist. I mean, they did, of course, increase his damage resist very slightly, but definitely nicely. Pun or rhyme not intended. But yeah. And taking lethal damage, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, obviously 100% is better than 50%. Although almost I feel like with him, you want him to be near death. So maybe 50% would be nicer, because if he's draining his health from his true arts, he gets closer to near death after that, so he gets back his damage resist, whereas at 100%, he won't have any of that near death damage resist, and if he's just like instantly one shot, he won't have like 50% damage resist on him. So that's very specific though. Maybe it won't matter, but this could be a very slight debuff in terms of some stages. It's whatever though. Plushies. I was going to make a video earlier about all of this, but I saw the plushies and I was kind of just holding out until they dropped it, because I feel like these buffs are kind of whatever. They're kind of underwhelming-ish. I really liked Mako's buffs. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to get her buff in Global. Ryuko, I really want to make her work, but she just never does, and it's so sad because I really like her art. But yeah, they're all kind of okay. I can't wait to use him too. Let's move on though to the plushies. Although before that, let's actually show you potentially one of the worst banner decisions I've seen in recent history. These are the two banners they're dropping. Chat, what do we notice about these banners? Wait a second. Why does this banner have 3 out of the 4 5-stars and Halka? And then this has 3 out of the 4 6-stars, but Mako. Well, we could do the math. The best 5-star with the rest of the not so good 6-stars, and the best 6-star with the rest of the not so good 5-stars. They really, that is, I'm not gonna lie, low-key one of the scummiest things I've seen in recent GS history. Because they knew putting him on the same banner as these other 6-stars would give it too much value, because at the very least, if you end up going the pity, which additionally, I don't know if they share pity. I hope at the very least they share pities, but they look like separate banners. But I believe crossover banners should carry over. If these don't, that's insane. But regardless, when people are carrying to pity, they're either going to do one or the other, right? And they know Halka is pity worthy. So what do? We put him on the worst banner. That way, if you want any of these, especially Mako, who people really want as well, because don't get me wrong, in my opinion, in terms of usability and support, I'd almost say she's the second best unit in the crossover. I mean, don't get me wrong, Uzu has insane DPS, Ira's a really strong tank, she's a pretty solid support, but she's providing arts gen, heals, arts damage, insane slots, now even better slots. So she's just more versatile in that sense. And obviously Halka is Halka. So like, but that's crazy. Because now if you want Mako, you can't even just summon on the one banner. And if you want Halka and potentially another 6-star, you can't get that. You could maybe get lucky and get one of these. Maybe you want a Satsuki, maybe you want a Ryuko or Newi. That's, wow, that's crazy work. Yeah, they were eaten up with this. Why? Bruh. Real. That's low-key clown behavior. Whoever did that. Crazy work. Alright. So we have a Kill a Kill collab equip banner. Because that's what we need. We need more equips on top of the already diluted Kill a Kill equip banner. Okay, we have Ragyo not as a unit. It's probably like the only unit left in Kill a Kill we don't have a unit for. I don't know why they didn't just make her as a unit. That would have made sense, considering, like I just said, she's the only one I can really think of that matters that doesn't have an actual unit. Actually, could you imagine 6-star Ryuko? Oh my goodness, that would be... Why is that not a thing? Why did they make 6 stars of characters we don't really care about as much? I mean, we care about Hauka now, but let me tell you, from watching the anime, you don't really like Hauka. Like, he's not even really a main character. He's a main villain, but like not even. He's like a side main villain. Anyways, let me move on. You got some tickets. That's low-key kind of crazy. 70 tickets. I can almost bet everything on everything. It's on the 5-star banner. Whatever. 9th anniversary. Damn, is it already the 9th anniversary? Yo, I'm reaching UNC status, bro. 9th anniversary, bro. Wow. That means it should be coming to global in what, like February? Well, we got a long ways to go. You got some art action going on here. Okay. No comment. Okay. It's all solid stuff. Definitely better than I can draw. Tickets. So I don't know what that is, but if I had to bet, I would assume it's probably a 5-star guaranteed ticket. And if that's the case, it's going to be a really good time to re-roll in terms of getting Mako and potentially Hauka. You get that on a re-roll, you don't, bro. That's an insane start to your game. Mako, Hauka. Wow. Because they stack as well. All of this stuff I already kind of went over it. Oh yeah, her super arts got buffed to 190k instead of 180k. Okay. Because that's what she needed. She needed that extra 10,000 damage. That's what they needed to make her usable. Okay, so now moving on to the plushies, what I've been waiting to actually talk about. First, for starters, we have the Ryuko's plushie. Physical damage and BE output up. Okay. Nobody's really going to want this. I mean, maybe specific nukes or something can make use of it, but BE output up isn't really popular. 60% crit damage and 40% water damage. I could see this definitely... Oh, 80-second CT is nasty work. So, obviously, gonna be exclusively in nukes. That's an insanely long duration. 18 seconds. Yeah, so you're probably just gonna put this on a water DPS, I assume. And if you have a mono water nuke team, in this case, that would help buff even more. Or just run this on another unit to buff your main water DPS. Only 40% damage, but still better than nothing. Especially considering there's not very many AoE damage buffs on physical equips. So that's really cool. Mako plushie. 5-star support. 20 arts. 20 seconds. 2 arts a second. So 40 for 40. That's good. 50% break power for light allies. Really good. That's actually really strong. It's very obviously tied to light allies, but regardless, on light teams, that is going to be game changing. It's not as good as like general equips such as like a Serpa's dagger, but obviously considering that hasn't ran in forever, this is going to be just as good. Senketsu plushie. 30 seconds ZT, 15 seconds 40% physical damage, and 20% physical resist for the team. That's actually really good. So far, my favorite equip, actually. The reason being, in terms of sustain, if you have a DPS with a 5-star defense, this is going to be really good. Especially if, even if you don't need physical resist, if you have enough damage resist and you just have like a dead defense slot, which happens so often. Like, I hate when you have like an overly competent damage resist buffer like Hauka, and then you have like a DPS that has a defense slot, but that defense slot is kind of useless considering Hauka can solo the damage resist. So then you kind of just put equips that give like maybe 30% attack up or something random. But this is going to actually make you get a little more actually not a little. 40% damage is actually fairly sizable, and considering it's for 15 seconds with a 30-second CT, you're going to get that quite a bit. Honestly, all things considered, really nice. Definitely, so far, probably my favorite. I mean, this is just good naturally because of the break power. But then we have this. 50% magic damage, 30 arts, solid. CT is a little long, I'm not gonna lie. Although with some, actually, since it's so long, pause. With equip CT, it'll actually go down quite a bit. Like if you get 20%, that could go down a lot actually. Yeah, I mean that's solid. It's a pretty okay equip. You're gonna run that on a dark magic DPS, like there's so many. Probably just at the top of my head, Rimuru or Demon Lord Rimuru. Another thing over here for the equip banner, there's so many kill equips. That's not what they told you, but that's basically what they're saying. But they're saying there's so many kill equips that every single summon will guarantee a kill equip. But don't get fooled, because I believe there's, I swear, like 15 to 20 of them. So you still have like a 5% chance at getting what you want. Mako uniform, still one of the more solid equips. It's definitely not as peak as it used to be when people used to glaze. Bro, I remember, does anybody else remember the Goku uniform glaze? Bro, Goku uniform had such glaze on it back in the past, bro. People acted like this was the only support equip you could run. Like people would literally pity like 4 of these. Like, bro, I promise it's not that good. I mean, it was good back then, but I promise, like, if you don't have Mako equip back then, like, people were, you know what I mean? They were acting like you didn't know how to play the game. Like, sorry, buddy, I got expenses, and they're not microtransactions. Anyways, yeah, I kind of rambled there for a second, but yeah, I mean, still somewhat solid. The damage is kind of low in the big 25, but it's still usable considering it's just a general damage buff, and it has a nice instant burst of 30 arts, which could be useful to kind of get your team started. But in general, most of the equips are kind of, I mean, mediocre. There's a couple of good ones. I wish they had like a full list so I can kind of go over them. But yeah, that's really everything that kind of came with this new announcement from the JP side of the game, because the crossover, actually, wait a second. It's running July 30. Today is July 31st. Well, after 12, but so this should be going live in 4 hours. Okay, interesting. So I guess we'll get to see that earlier than we thought. I mean, I don't even play JP like that. But yeah, that's really everything though. Somewhat kind of mediocre. The kind of sad that I'm most excited for Mako getting a 5-star equip. Oh, also, you could run Light Sestina's true weapon to increase her healing even more, because to be honest, her healing is kind of mediocre. Like I said, it's only 400 a second. But if you run Holy Shield of Wings, which will double her heals, you have a 20% heal up on her for Crest. That's now going from 400 to 800. 20% of 800 is what? Let me try to do this in my head. 80, 160, 960. And then 960 plus Lysistina's true weapon, which would be another 20%, would be 960. 10% of that's 96 times 2 is 192. 192 plus 960 is what? Something probably nearing 1200. So 1200 heals a second, I believe. Probably around that. 1200 heals a second is crazy. So I really like they gave us that slot. And that goes to show how you can buff something without making them super crazy, but kind of rejuvenate them literally from a single equip. And then we got Satsuki getting a heal slot. But I'm not going to hate on her. I just can't wait till she comes to global so I can, make more use of her than I already am. And also, real quick sidetrack, this being at 5 arts a second means 75, but if you have the human or the or whatever dream evolution that gives 2 arts a second to humans, that's 7 a second. 7 times 15 would be what, 105? So that's actually really usable considering it also stacks with all other arts gen. Man, they're really trying to they're trying to glaze her. I mean, she had such a run. I mean, everybody knows about her peak, but I feel like they're trying to bring her back to where she was. What would I do personally though? I don't know why I'm still talking, to be honest, but I guess real quick, if I wanted to make her just as viable, I think what I would do is potentially, I don't know. First of all, make her damage resist on arts, also stackable with everything. Just like her arts gauge is stackable with everything, just continue with the rest. Because that way you can art with BF Emperor and they'll stack. And also there's a reason to use her art, because as of now, if you're running them together, you're just going to spam true arts because you're actually hurting your team more, because you're refreshing Emperor's 60% damage resist debuff for her 30. And you're kind of just whatever, when you could just be spamming this. But there's an actual reason to use this then. Like, that was the least they could have did. But let's not try to make her more OP than she is. Even this to 15 a second is now giving her like 2 arts a second rather than like almost 1 arts a second. Man, Yama P's really trying to glaze her like crazy work. Whatever. Imagine we opened the game and she lost her iframes. I think I might cry, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, I guess that's kind of a good way to end the video. Actually, I know a better way to end the video. That was a joke. But yeah, kind of let me know what your thoughts are about everything so far. I think I'm pretty excited. I know a lot of people aren't excited, at least veterans aren't, because they have most of the units, especially Hauka. They probably pitied. So they're probably not as excited as either beginner players or medium tier players are, because a lot of these units are definitely solid, especially obviously Hauka. And for everyone who didn't get him, save up now to get him, because he is going to change the entire game for you if you don't have him. But yeah, let me know down below what you guys think about it. Let me know anyone who summoned, I guess, in JP, if you got anybody good or anything, because by the time I upload this, it should be around time, right? I think so. I might upload this at like 6 or 7 o'clock. Oh my god, that wasn't okay. Well, to those who know, hopefully you guys laughed at that one. Yeah. Be sure to like and sub for more. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you later.